version of that. Although it's 2D, I will, at the later part of this lecture, do a similar program in CodePen, and we'll make it 3D in this class. So this is the new block that we'll be working with. It's under control. It's called the while loop, and it helps you repeat things. There are 3 parts you need to know for a while loop. Let me find where's the comment? So at the very top, for a comment, you need to know you will initialize, or you will declare a variable. Declare and initialize your variable. This is your starting point. So that's number 1. You need to know that there's a starting point. And that looks like var equals x, let's say, down here. Let's start it at 0. The second thing you need to know is over here, for the while loop, you need some kind of stopping condition. So we'll go under math. Maybe we'll check the less than sign, drag that in. We'll stop when, let's say, x is less than 5. Over here, x less than 5 serves as our stopping point. Okay, 2 things so far, a start, a stop, and loops need something to help you move through your loop. You need some way to progress, and that's the part where we'll say x, each time you repeat this code, you're going to grow by 1. Over here, this is your increment. So that's the fancy increment, computer science term, or how you progress. I can't English for the life of me, but I can write code, and the computer understands me, so that's all I need in my life. Okay, so var x, the variables, things we've been working with. The new part is the while loop, and know that there are 3 parts. And let's say I run. Right now it repeats some code, but all it does is like count. Let's try to display some text to the screen. So let's show you. X is going to change x. So then when we reset and run, it's very tiny. How do I make it bigger? Font size. We'll make it a bit bigger. Let's make it size 100. So when we reset it, let's move it lower. Let's say 70 for the y. That's big enough. Notice over here you have a bunch of numbers. All of this was drawn. The numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, not 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 was drawn all on top of one another in this upper left-hand corner. That's what happened in one frame, one repetition, one draw of like your screen, one page. So let's do something a bit more obvious. Let's have our good old friend the ellipse. Right now this circle is being repeated 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times on the screen. But notice it's being drawn on top of one another. That much is a familiar idea. It's drawn at center 200, 200, and it has a height and width of 400, and there's 5 circles right on top of here. Just like how there are numbers being drawn, I used the text function. It displayed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all on top of one another. So let's try to see parts of that. Over here, I'm going to delete this number. Let's have it be my stopping point. I'll stop way earlier. When I start at 0, I'm increasing it up to 1. And I should see just one number and one circle. Notice that 0 is in the upper left-hand corner. Maybe I will draw a background to kind of clear things so I can see those numbers a bit more clearly. Okay, 0 is still there. If I change my stopping point to 2, now I'll go from 0, I'll add 1 to myself, I'll go to 1. My last number is 2. So now this code repeated like twice. Computer scientists like to start at 0. You have to do a little shift. We don't start counting at 1. I'll tell you more on that later. But just know that this number here helps me change my stopping point, helps me repeat more. I'll create, for this demo, last variable here. Let's have our variables go up and down. Y, var y equals, let's start you at maybe 100. And down here, I'll use that variable y, reset, run. Notice that my circle moved up a bit. And each time you repeat, why don't I have you times x? Let's see what happens then. Is that too much? I think it is. So I'm trying to get my circle to repeat 5 times, and I think I messed up here because y starts with 100 and then it goes off the screen. So maybe let's just do y equals 10. Reset. Oh, and then I remove my background. So now when I run, it ever so slightly repeats. Let's tweak this a bit so I see more circles. Let's move it down even more, maybe to 60. And then we realize our circles are way too big, so we'll make them smaller. And so you see 5 circles now? At the very top, the first one's cut off. Down here, it's 1 circle, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll clean up my code ever so slightly. I'm going to remove these text functions. And so in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, excluding my comments, in 6 lines of code, I've gotten 5 circles to repeat. And this works. Let's say I wanted 100 circles. If my canvas was as large, you would see 100 circles going up and down the page. Same's true with 1,000, if it lets me do that. But then we see one of the limitations with GameLab. We have a fixed canvas size of 400 by 400, so our code in GameLab only lets us show that much. We can make these really tiny, and then you'll see a little bit more. They're rather spaced out. Maybe we'll do this divided by 5, 4. We'll see a bit more circles. So all this stuff is being repeated 1,000 times. A lot of it is above the screen, a lot of it is below the screen. I'll share this code at the end of the video, so no need to rapidly type, just focus on the ideas here. While loops have 3 parts, helps you repeat code. If you find yourself copy and pasting, consider using this new idea, this new block called a while loop. Questions so far? Okay, so I'm going to turn this into text, and I'm going to do something very similar in CodePen. So let me save this. I think it's saved. I go to CodePen. It loads. We have nice little featured projects. Maybe yours will be featured here one day. Go to Pen. And since I'm starting a new pen, you should always be your first step. Add in, down here, p5.js. So right now I'm demoing how we move code from GameLab into CodePen, while loop demo block 6. We make JavaScript a little bit bigger, and we paste that code in. Run. I notice right now we don't see anything. One of the steps you'll have to do when moving from GameLab into CodePen is adding in function setup. And we'll see that same exact output when we create a canvas of size 400 by 400. Click Run. We should get those circles. Do we not? Why don't we? Let's move these up higher. Oh, there they are. So it took a little while. It tried to draw 1,000. But notice we got the same output as we did before. We got a bunch of circles going up and down here. Now one of the benefits of CodePen is you can make your canvas bigger now. So now I'm able to see those 100 circles. I'll zoom out a little bit, even more. Maybe we wanted 1,000 circles moving up and down. Run. It's going to take a while, but you will in fact get those 1,000 circles being redrawn. Like right now, CodePen is doing its thing, it's loading, that's why it seems like my screen is frozen, but it's actually working. It's still working. It takes a long time to draw all these circles. Questions so far? We're drawing like 1,000 itty-bitty circles up and down the screen in GameLab and now in CodePen. And if I haven't emphasized this now, be sure you have this run button appearing. We run into the trouble here when we have this thing enabled, that the run button disappears. You might fall in the trap of something called an infinite loop. Let's say down here, I never increase my x. I never get closer to my 1,000. Maybe we'll just change it to 10 in this case. So when I run my code, the code in how it repeats, ask yourself, okay, x is equal to 0. Is 0 less than 10? Yes, draw a circle. Then it goes back up. Is x less than 10, 0 still less than 10. Now you're stuck in this infinite loop. So when I run this code, eventually GameLab will quit and give up because it's stuck. It is trapped ever trying to draw these circles in roughly the same spot. So in which case, in a couple seconds, you'll see that my CodePen crashes. It may even crash your whole browser. This is why you want the run button there. I've had students in the past see, on page unresponsive, while loop block 6. Oh darn, I have to exit my page. So, I'll snap. My code is broken. So if you didn't have that run button there, you may not be able to access your CodePen account if you're stuck in that infinite loop. One student from last semester lost her account twice. That's no fun. So by adding in this run button, it gives you a safer environment for you to mess around. So had that run button not been there, the code would want to try to run itself. It will auto generate the image, in which case you'll be stuck in infinity forever. So make sure you have this run button there. Questions, comments? Or not satisfied? I can feel it in your glances. Let's go 3D. So here's WebGL. We add in this, and let's see what happens. Oh, it tries to draw some circles way down there. Maybe we'll just repeat it 10 times. Instead of doing an ellipse, let's try to get 10 different cubes being drawn. Cube of size 100. Maybe I won't have a white background. We'll run this. Zoom out. Cube, where are you? I should probably have a background that is black colored. All lights are off. Run. Do-do-do-do. Cube, where are you? Is it cube or box? For 3D? Box? Ta-dang. So yet again, there are 110 boxes here. They're all on top of one another. Maybe now we'll do some translating. Move things to the right, maybe to the left or up, and then a little bit out of the page. Translate helps you move those positions as they're being drawn. Notice now you get those boxes moving that a ways to the lower right-hand corner. If you moved, let's say this one, make it -10, run. Nah, that's not what I wanted. So I'm messing around with my origin now. It's repeating these translatings, and now you're able to generate, let's say, 10 cubes in some kind of organized pattern. You could just as easily add in random positions and then get to that many, many shapes idea. Maybe generate 200 random cubes and maybe change their color too. You're not too far from that when adding in WebGL as your third argument and doing some translating along with some other position stuff. Questions, comments? This will be posted.